It's John, and I'm the manager of the bookstore here. Just to let you know a bit about Politics and Prose, we recently entered into a partnership with Busboys and Poets. As well as this location, we're in Brooklyn and Tacoma, and of course we still have our main store at Connecticut Avenue. Can you hear me okay? Okay, we run hundreds of free events every year, so please do pick up a calendar to see what's coming up, or check out our website at politics-prose to see what's coming up. Just to let you know a little bit about tonight's format, we will have a 20-minute talk from Kimberly, and then we'll open the floor up for questions. We'll have a microphone going around the room, so we very much look forward to hearing your questions when in about 20 minutes. And of course, if you could please turn off your cell phones, it would be greatly appreciated. Of course, it's a great pleasure to welcome Kimberly Burge here this evening. Kimberly is a long-term Washington resident and a former Fulbright scholar. After a successful 15-year career working with non-profits in DC, Kimberly embarked on a radically new direction in 2010 when she moved to Cape Town in South Africa. Her book, The Born Freeze, is the remarkable result of the writing group she started in Gugulethu, a deprived area on the margins of the city. Kimberly worked tirelessly with a group of girls and helped them to build the confidence to speak and write in their own voices. The title of the book, The Born Freeze, refers to a common term for those born after South Africa's first ever democratic elections in the early 90s, in the post-apartheid era. However, despite the upbeat name given to this new generation, the girls in Kimberly's writing group still face severe hardships, and their struggles are a constant presence throughout this book. However, through Kimberly's evocative writing, and of course their own, the girls of Gugulethu also show remarkable resilience, courage and hope. The Born Freeze, therefore, is both a celebration, an empowering celebration of these girls, and a platform for their unique voices. I'm very excited to introduce Kimberly Burge this evening to tell some of these girls' stories, and of course her own. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You might be able to tell there are a few people in the audience tonight who have walked this journey with me of getting this book written over the last about 6 years. I can't tell you how happy I am to have you here to celebrate it. There's a whole crew in Cape Town that wants to see a lot of pictures tomorrow on Facebook too. So thank you for coming out. And as John said, so we gave you a little bit of an introduction about the Born Freeze. Can everybody hear me okay? Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Fabulous. So the Born Freeze are the generation that were born kind of at the end of apartheid, kind of between 1990, when Nelson Mandela was released from prison, and 1994, when he was elected as the country's first black president in the first election when everyone could vote. Before that, during apartheid, blacks and coloreds, which is a term for mixed race people, couldn't vote. They couldn't do much of anything. Under apartheid, race determined where you lived, where you went to school, how far you could go in school, what kind of jobs you could do, who you could marry, where you went to church, where you buried your family members. So at the end of apartheid, with the election of Nelson Mandela and coming of this new generation, the Born Freeze, as South Africans call them, it was this feeling of hope and excitement that there were chances for opportunities for these young people that their parents and their grandparents never had. At the same time, when you have 50 years of government-sanctioned segregation, and before that hundreds of years of colonialism, it takes a while to get over those chains of oppression. So the Born Freeze now, they're coming of age. It's 21 years since the 1994 elections this year, and they're inheriting a country that is kind of awash in contradiction. They have some of the highest levels of income inequality in the world. I think it's the third highest level in the world. There's a tremendous amount of poverty still, especially among blacks. The educational systems, they're not segregated by race now, but they're segregated by class. Because the parents that can afford to send their children to better schools, they can do that, and the township schools, the black townships where blacks were assigned to live, are still playing catch up. You know, some of these schools don't have libraries, and there are tremendously high levels of violence, especially sexual violence, and against women and girls. And so I knew these things But it's a country I also fell in love with. I mean, I came of age as an activist in the 80s at kind of the end of the anti-apartheid movement, and then I went to South Africa for the first time for my job with Bread for the World in 2002, and I really wanted to spend some more time there. So I wanted to hear about this generation from their own words, and particularly working with young women, working with girls and young women in a creative writing club. This is what I decided to do as part of my Fulbright. So I was based in Gugulethu, which John did an excellent job of pronouncing. I know there's at least one South African here in the audience, so please, Siki, forgive my pronunciations, my kosa beforehand. So Gugulethu is a black township that's about 10 miles outside of Cape Town. And I was based at a church and community center called J.L. Swanee Presbyterian Church. And I led a creative writing club for girls between the ages of 13 and 20 on a Saturday afternoon. We would get together. I could have anywhere from 4 to 22 girls show up from week to week. And but we had probably about 10 that were kind of the hardcore ones who were there every week throughout the whole year. And I would basically just give them a prompt, a writing prompt, a part of a sentence, maybe a couple of lines of poetry, a question about their lives, and then we spent maybe 20 minutes writing. We started out at 3 minutes the very first time because I didn't want to scare them, and then we worked up to about 20 to 30 minutes, and that was never enough. And then we went around the circle and everyone read. And over the course of the year, I think we really developed this tremendous respect and support for each other. And this was situations where these young women didn't have that. Many of them, probably about 2/3 of the girls that I write about are orphans. They lost in some cases they never knew their fathers. In other cases they, lost both of parents or lost their mothers to AIDS, to violence, to just different situations that poverty and oppression will bring. But they have an amazing spirit. And so I'm going to focus on one tonight and read a little bit about the first girl that I met when I got into Gugulethu. Her name's Anna Swena. And when I first met her, she asked me, she's about 5 feet tall, and she asked me what I was here to do. And I said, I'm going to lead a writing club. I'd really love you to come. She stood up tall, she said, I'll be there, I'm a poet. Okay, well, it's because I'm not. So you can lead poetry, which she did, which is wonderful later on in the book. But I want to start with words from her, kind of very appropriately, and then go into a scene where we were eating lunch together in my first kind of few weeks there when I was getting to know her. So, but first, this is from words from Anna Swena. Who am I? I am a writer by birth, a vocalist by choice, an expressionist by nature, and an instrument by voice. I pledge to speak my mind and utter the words that define my solitude, senses, and space. I pledge to provoke all existing thought and explore every and any feeling and emotion of all human race. So, here we go. A deep rattle, low and raspy, came in through the open window at the J.L. Swanee office. Fighting a lingering bout of bronchitis myself, I registered that same painful barking sound. Glancing outside, I saw Anna Swena slowly climbing the stairs to the church's front doors. Her head was turned, mouth pressed against one shoulder to absorb the cough. She wore a short dress that was too big for her, mostly black with a patchwork pattern bodice and black flats. The outfit seemed to shrink her already diminutive body even further. From this angle above her, she looked as though she might have to stand on tiptoe to reach the door handle. I stood up at the window and waved to catch her eye. When she lifted her head, she spotted me, and her pinched face opened into a surprised smile. She had not been in the church on the Sunday I announced the writing club, and I was eager to see her again. As I walked out to the foyer, a coughing fit nearly doubled me over. When the spasms passed, I looked up, and Anna Swena stood there, her high forehead creased into commiseration. We sound like quite the pair, I said ruefully. Are you ill as well? She asked. Yes, but I think it sounds worse than it is. I hope it does. I get this cough every year or so since I was a kid. I keep waiting to outgrow it. Yeah, I know. Last week I had to go to hospital because I couldn't breathe. I had asthma as a child, but I thought I'd outgrow it too. I'm worried this might be TB. She pressed a palm against her chest as if to shield it from the mere mention of the disease. For me, a persistent cough meant discomfort, some sleepless nights, annoyance. To Anasuena, or to anyone with an immune system compromised by HIV, a cough warmed at much greater possibilities. A bout of untreated tuberculosis could rapidly kill her. Worldwide, TB is the leading cause of death among those with HIV. Did they test you for it? I asked. They did. They did what do you call it? A sputum test? That's it. Have they given you the results? Not yet. She shook her head and took a shallow breath as she spoke. I reassured her that the test would most likely come back negative. The almost imperceptible nod of her head and wary smile revealed a girl who wanted to believe that, and also one who knew I could promise her no such thing. Anasuena should have been sitting in mathematics and English classes like other learners on this weekday, but she was still having difficulty re-enrolling in high school. She had already fallen several grades behind, held back not because she failed to keep up with her studies, but because of poor attendance and shifting school enrollment as she moved between family homes after her mother died. Now tired of waiting for her cousin brother to act on her behalf, she had taken her education into her own hands and was wrangling with school secretaries and paperwork in order to enter grade 9. In the meantime, without school, she had nowhere to go each day. She had wandered over to J.L. Swanee early for orphans group that afternoon. Like Anasuena, I didn't know what to do with my days. While planning for the writing club, I felt lost in my transition from a 9-to-5 office job in Washington to setting my own daily schedule as I learned my way around a foreign city. I'd come out to Gugulethu in the morning to practice my driving. I was learning to drive on the left side of the road with a stick shift and to help with orphans group. I wanted to make myself useful at the center, become a part of the community, but I wasn't sure how to do that yet. When another cough seized Anasuena, a thought occurred to me. Are you hungry? I asked after her coughing subsided. She shrugged one shoulder, but her raised eyebrows and suddenly attentive expression answered the question more definitively. Come with me. She followed me into the kitchen. The J.L. Swanee Community Center staff prepared meals each day for the 50 or so members of the HIV/AIDS support group that meets every afternoon. 75 to 100 children would also show up soon after school for a meal and tutoring as they did every weekday. Church staff also ate lunch at the center. Apparently that now included me, since on the days I came in, someone would bring me a large plate of food on a tray covered by a cotton cloth in a traditional African textile pattern. Rich swirls of cornflower blue and sunny yellow. In the kitchen, I asked Nomzamo, the head cook, whether she could prepare an extra plate for Anasuena, to whom I gestured by way of introduction. Nomzamo said, "Oh, okay," but she looked none too pleased about the request and spoke to Anasuena in close-up. The girl lowered her eyes respectfully and answered, "I had no idea what they were saying." I did not want to upset the daily routine. I didn't want to be the woman who arrived from America and quickly made special demands of everyone. But if this girl was ill and hungry, I wanted her to eat. "Inkosi," I said, to thank Nomzamo as we retreated from the kitchen. Then I turned to Anasuena. "You haven't had lunch, have you?" She caught my tone of voice, the note that sought approval for my request, and smiled a reassurance. "It's fine, yeah, lunch would be good." Nomzamo brought us plates filled with diced carrots, stewed spinach, potatoes mixed with meat I did not recognize, and some pap. This pulsa seco is a maize porridge, dense and flavorless, filling in the winter but too heavy for this warm day. We ate to the muffled sounds of multi-part harmonies, electric guitar and drums. Siyaya, the church's musical group, was rehearsing downstairs. I asked Anasuena what she thought of Jacob Zuma, South Africa's president, whose private life was making news, and not for the first time. "Ah, him," she said, shaking her head in disgust as she raised a glass of tropical fruit juice to her lips. You know he's not practicing safe sex because these women are falling pregnant. Then he goes on to the next wife after he's been with the others. President Zuma is a polygamist, which he defends as part of his Zulu culture. The practice is legally allowed in South Africa. He had just publicly acknowledged the birth of his 20th child. The girl was born not to one of Zuma's 3 current wives. He's had 5 wives in total, but to the daughter of Urban Kosa, chairman of the World Cup Organizing Committee. In a few months, South Africa would bask in a global spotlight as the first country on the continent to host one of the world's most watched sporting events. This news was not especially welcome in advance of that celebration. The president initially maintained that this was strictly a personal matter. His political party, the African National Congress, supported that position, while critics countered that his actions belied his public calls for everyone to practice safe sex in the nation with the world's largest number of HIV-infected people. In his statement, the president failed to recognize any contradiction. Quote, I said during World AIDS Day that we must all take personal responsibility for our actions. I have done so. I have done the necessary cultural imperatives in a